Could you be getting a bigger Social Security check soon? Are you eligible for debt relief? And what exactly was in that bill that the Senate passed last night that helped us avoid a government shutdown? These are the topics we're going to tackle in today's video, so make sure that you stick around because we're going to break it all down for you in an easy to understand way so that you can stay informed and empowered. Now, of course, I'm Nicole from Low Income Relief. If you like simple, straightforward, actionable advice on how to survive on a low income, please subscribe to our channel. And with that, we're just going to dive right in. So we'll start with the big news about Social Security, because last night, the Senate passed the Social Security Fairness Act, which could expand Social Security benefits for 2.8 million Americans. And it could even pave the way for some sweet back pay as well. Now, this is a big deal, especially if you're a public servant like a teacher, firefighter, or police officer. For decades, there were these rules called the windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset. And these rules were designed to prevent people from getting too much in Social Security benefits if they also had a pension from their public service job. On the surface, that sounds kind of fair, right? But the problem was that these rules ended up unfairly penalizing the very people who worked in jobs that served our communities. Many of these people paid into Social Security at various times during their careers, but they spent some of the time working at jobs that didn't pay into Social Security. And as a result of those special rules, these people later found out that they wouldn't be getting the full benefits that they deserved. The lawmakers who were involved with this bill shared a variety of heartbreaking stories. Senator Brown from Ohio talked about a woman in Ohio who drove a bus for disabled children in Lawrence County. The woman worked for 40 years, but her Social Security benefits were cut from $2,100 a month to just $500 a month under these rules. But it wasn't just about the benefits that these people earned from their jobs either. Their work in public service even affected how much they could receive from their spouse's Social Security benefits as well. According to The Hill, Senator Cassidy from Louisiana talked about how his old high school civics teacher, Miss Betty, saw her husband's Social Security benefit cut because she had spent so much time working in schools with kids. According to Senator Cassidy, quote, her husband worked at an Exxon refinery, but when he passed away, her Social Security was cut to a fraction because she had worked in the public sector as a teacher, end quote. He went on to explain that she would have actually received better retirement benefits if she had never worked at all. Advocates have been fighting for this change for years, and it finally made its way through Congress in a last-minute push before the session ended. So, what does this mean for you, though? Well, for starters, it means that people like Miss Betty should see an increase in their benefits now that the Social Security Fairness Act has passed. This new law eliminates the windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset so that teachers, firefighters, and others who have worked in public service can now get their full benefits. This change is going to help, I think estimates said 2.8 million people see an increase in their benefits going forward, which is obviously a huge help to those who have been struggling. Now, there's also a potential retroactive benefit, which could result in back pay for those affected. I am not a lawyer, and I'm not seeing anyone talk about this yet, but I do find it interesting that the law specifically states that it applies to benefits payable after December of 2023. That means that this change should have gone into effect in January of 2024, but obviously the bill hadn't passed yet. And that means that with its passing, it's possible that retroactive payments will be made to those who are now entitled to those higher payments, as if you had received the higher payment back to January of 2024. Now, that is the good news. The bad news is that it may take some time to sort all of this out. There may be some delays in getting that money because the Social Security Administration is already stretched very thin. They're at their lowest staffing level in 50 years, and they haven't been given any additional funds for hiring. So we may have to be patient as they process all of these changes. And of course, that's not all the bad news either. The financial impact of this bill is massive. It's expected to hasten the insolvency of Social Security trust funds by about 6 months. Now, we already knew that they were going to run out of money within the next 10 years, so this just speeds up an already stressed out timeline. Now, although most experts agree that it's likely that Congress will do something to ensure the long-term sustainability of Social Security, it's not clear what steps will be taken or when. And if these constant last-minute government shutdown, showdown budget fights are any indication, we may not see any significant progress made until the very, very last minute. But I hope it doesn't come to that, because that would be a lot of unnecessary stress for all of you, and that's really unfair. And with that, let's talk about what actually happened last night. As many of you might have heard, the government was poised to shut down last night if Congress couldn't pass some sort of budget resolution. We've been living on these short-term continuing resolutions for a while now, and the constant threat of a looming government shutdown is honestly exhausting. You've probably noticed that we haven't talked a lot about this on low-income relief for quite some time. I keep a close eye on the news and all things that can affect your benefits, so I knew that that fight was coming, but I'm sure that you're as tired as I am of this ongoing problem. The media cycle loves it. Most outlets thrive on drama, so there's always a ton of clickbait headlines talking about the effects of a possible shutdown, and it's everywhere, and it's always in your face, so you don't need to hear about it from me too. Especially because it's almost always pure speculation, because usually a deal is made in the 11th hour to avoid the entire fiasco anyway. That's why I haven't been discussing it on this channel. If and when a government shutdown actually does happen, you know I'm going to report on that, and I'll let you know what to expect and how it's going to affect you, and we'll be together through whatever happens. But I designed this channel to be helpful and informative and uplifting, and I don't want to let it be hijacked by gimmicks and brinkmanship anymore. You deserve better than to be treated like a pawn in some politician's chess game. And that being said, let's talk about what last night's resolution actually accomplished. They did pass a continuing resolution to fund the government through mid-March. As part of this package, they've also extended the Farm Bill through September 30th of 2025. When that extension expires in September, the Farm Bill will be 2 years past due. They were supposed to pass that 5-year bill back in 2023, and they've just been extending it by a few months at a time for the last 2 years. This extension will make sure that the SNAP program continues as it has been. The resolution also provides some disaster relief and farm aid, but it does not suspend the debt limit. I know that all the government shutdown talk can be a bit overwhelming, so I'd like to shift gears into some more positive news as well. We've got some incredible debt forgiveness programs to cover, from student loans to rent to medical debt and more. It's not all student loans, I promise. But before we dive into those debt forgiveness programs, I do want to let you know that our sponsor, Free Cash, pays real money to users who complete surveys, play games, and watch videos. They have a lot of incredible offers, like $10 to start a Netflix trial. Payouts start at just $2, and you can get started today at lirlinks.com/freecash. Now I want to talk to you about that debt relief that we saw. We're going to start with student loans, and then we'll move on to rent and other things from there. So this week, the federal government forgave $4.28 billion in student loan debt. This debt belonged to around 55,000 students who went on to work in public service. This included a mix of teachers, nurses, law enforcement officials, military service members, and other public service workers who have been giving back to their communities. The debt was forgiven through the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. Now, since attempts at more widespread student loan forgiveness have been repeatedly thwarted, it looks like the Department of Education made some interesting changes recently. They've reopened applications for 2 of their old income-driven repayment plans. These programs are known as Pay As You Earn, or PAY, and the Income-Driven Repayment Plan, which I'm pretty sure is ICR. Anyway, these programs started in 2012 and 1996, respectively, and they were closed last year to try to push more people into the new SAVE plan. But of course, that new SAVE plan has been frozen by litigation since last July, so now they're reopening those older plans back up again. If you currently owe student loan debt and you'd like help navigating your options, you can reach out to our sponsor, CareConnect USA's Student Aid Relief Line at 888-201-0431 for assistance. Now, of course, here's where things get really exciting. Student loans are not the only sort of debt forgiveness that we've found either. There are some really interesting debt relief programs popping up that help with rent. Now, these are pretty limited right now, but I am excited to see this trend emerging. I really hope it spreads, but here's what we found so far. So first, in LA, a property management company called Sola Impact has wiped out nearly $130,000 in unpaid past due rent debt. To qualify for the rent relief, tenants had to pay their rent on time for 3 months and complete a financial literacy program at the Family Source Center. The center also helped eligible candidates apply for programs like utility assistance so that they'd have more money freed up for rent going forward as well. Next, in Louisville, Kentucky, the Louisville Metro Housing Authority said that more than 200 people who live in Dosker Manor owe a combined $550,000 in past due rent. That sounds like an outrageous number, but when you average it out, it's just a little bit more than $2,500 per person on average. Now, that unpaid rent means that these people are not eligible for relocation assistance. And that is a problem because these people have to move out by December of 2025 because their building is being demolished. So the Housing Authority has been trying to find a solution that can help connect them with some sort of assistance. So the Housing Authority is currently seeking federal approval for a plan that would forgive half of a household's past due rent if they complete a budget course and a 6-month repayment plan. This could relieve the debt and help those households connect with relocation resources so that they can move into new housing. Now, I know that those are two very specific examples, but I think it's really awesome, and I'm hopeful that we'll see this introduced in more areas as time goes by. I think that linking it together with financial literacy is a great idea, especially if the agencies involved are helping those eligible households apply for benefits like LIHEAP that can free up more of their budget. I would love to see this become as widespread as medical debt relief has become in recent years. And with that, let's talk about what's going on in the world of medical debt relief right now. Now, I know that we've talked about this before on the channel. It's been a favorite repeated topic for a while because more and more areas are opening up these opportunities to get that medical debt erased. And it's been such a game changer for so many people. So Mackenzie Scott, the billionaire philanthropist, and I think she's the ex-wife of Jeff Bezos, has recently made her third major donation to an organization called Undo Medical Debt. This organization used to be called RIP Medical Debt, but they changed their name to Undo Medical Debt. Anyway, this time she gave them a whopping $50 million. That brings her total contributions to this organization to over $130 million since 2020. And that's a huge deal because this organization says that they can actually forgive $100 in medical debt for every dollar that is donated. So that's an insane amount of debt that Mackenzie has covered. Now, of course, even before this huge donation, Undo Medical Debt had been hard at work eliminating medical debt in different areas around the country. They usually partner with local governments and organizations who donate to eliminate medical debt in certain areas. So in Los Angeles County, California, they launched a new program aimed at wiping out a massive amount of medical debt there. I think they said they're going to cover $500 million in their initial phase alone, which is obviously a huge step forward toward addressing the growing crisis of medical debt, because I think they said 1 in 10 people there have medical debt, which is a lot. Anyway, sorry. This program is targeting low-income residents who are struggling with past due medical bills. All of these programs that cover medical debt are usually capped at, I think, 400% of the federal poverty level. Your income has to be below that, and yeah. But the best part is you don't have to do anything. If you qualify, you'll be notified directly that your debt has been forgiven. There's no application. There's no hoops to jump through. There's no gathering documentation. It's just they buy the debt, they forgive the debt, they tell you it's forgiven. Super easy, and I love that. But it's not just in LA either. There's all sorts of different areas that are doing this. So Connecticut just launched a program to erase medical debt for thousands of residents. In the first round, they're wiping out $30 million in debt for over 23,000 people, which is amazing. And I think they said the state is, that state's going to cancel $650 million in medical debt by 2026. And again, you have to earn below a certain income threshold or have medical debt that exceeds 5% of your income. If you're eligible, you'll get a letter in the mail starting December 23rd. So keep an eye on your mailbox for that. Very exciting stuff. Illinois is also making amazing progress with its own program. Their new pilot program has already helped over 52,000 residents eliminate a total of $72 million in medical debt, and it's only been running since July. Again, they're working with Undo Medical Debt, and their goal is actually to forgive up to $1 billion in debt, which would be really amazing. The new Rhode Island Medical Debt Relief Program is trying to help 30,000 residents escape the cycle of medical debt by forgiving up to $85 million in outstanding medical bills as well. In Minnesota, the city of St. Paul recently wiped out $40 million in medical debt for 32,000 people. It looks like Undue Medical Debt bought that debt from Fairview Health Services. In Michigan, Wayne County's Department of Health, Human and Veteran Services eliminated $27 million in outstanding medical bills for 46,000 residents, and Oakland County eliminated another $9.1 million for more than 14,000 people. And of course, that's a lot of help for medical bills you already owe, right? But in an effort to curb future medical debt, North Carolina recently celebrated a major milestone. So in North Carolina, all 99 acute care hospitals in the state have agreed to participate in a brand new medical debt forgiveness program. And under this program, all Medicaid enrollees who owe money to these participating hospitals for services dating all the way back to January 1st of 2014 will have that debt relieved. Anyone who has an income that's too high for Medicaid but below 350% of the federal poverty level, or whose medical debt exceeds 5% of their income, will also have that medical debt that is more than 2 years old relieved. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it applies to you if you have an active payment plan with the hospital, which kind of sucks. It also looks like the hospitals have until mid to late 2025 to enact those changes. But starting in January of 2025, those North Carolina hospitals also must automatically offer charity care to people who receive WIC, SNAP, or if they are homeless, or if anyone in their household is eligible or enrolled in Medicaid. They also have to ensure that there are policies in place that provide those discounts through charity care based on income. North Carolina DHHS Secretary Cody Kinsley called the policy one of the largest medical debt relief policies in the country, and I think it's going to be incredible for the people in North Carolina who need hospital care. And on that note, I want to wrap up with something really cool that I found this week that I hadn't seen before. So while I was researching all these debt forgiveness programs, I came across a press release from a company called Born Primitive. They're a veteran-owned apparel company. They recently ran a Veterans Day campaign with a goal of paying off medical debt for veterans. They initially pledged $5 million, and then they doubled that. I think they ended up donating a grand total of around $11 million for this. But here's the thing. The thing that astonished me is how they did it. They did it through a partnership with a company I hadn't heard of before called ForgiveCo. ForgiveCo helped Born Primitive find veterans in need without any applications or red tape so that they could get relief right away instead of having to jump through any hoops. But they're not the same as Undue Medical Debt, so I did a little bit of research, and that's when I started looking into what ForgiveCo does. They're a lot like Undue Medical Debt, but they cover more types of debts, right? So they estimate that they can have what they call a 50x impact, which means that a $100 donation can forgive $5,000 in debt. And they go and they find the people who are eligible without any applications or hoops, which I just love. But here's the thing. They don't just focus on medical debt. They also cover utility debt, credit card debt, student loan debt, auto loan debt, payday loan debt, high interest loans, marketplace lending, tax liens, fines, mortgages, all sorts of other debt that you don't usually see covered by these programs, which is amazing. A lot of their program, so they partner with different organizations, right? So like Born Primitive did a promotion and they wanted to cover veteran medical debt. And every organization and company that partners with ForgiveCo chooses like their demographic and what they want to cover. And right now, a lot of those partners still seem focused on medical debt, but I think that's because that's been so popular. And I'm hoping that we're going to see more of them branch out to those other needs as well. I know that debt has been a major stress on me lately with everything that's going on in my family and in the world today. I would absolutely love to get out from under the debt that I carry. And that got me thinking about how much I would love to have low-income relief partner with an organization like ForgiveCo to forgive debts, especially the hard to manage and hard to get help with debts like tax liens or payday loan debt. I think that'd be awesome to be able to do that for our audience. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to get to a point financially where that's something that we can do. So just for future reference, knowing that this isn't right now, what debt do you think we should target first if we do something like this? I was thinking we'd want to start with something like tax liens, since I know many vulnerable seniors are being taxed out of their homes right now. But I would love to hear your thoughts on what you think would have the greatest impact. And on that note, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up for today because I have been talking a lot and you're probably tired of listening to me. But anyway, I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you have an amazing week and I wish you all of the best. Please don't forget to check out our other videos for more ways that you can save money and get free stuff.